Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here. Look, if you're a focused learner trying to nail down a rock-solid home study routine, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking some highly practical source material on foundational English phrases and flipping it into something unexpectedly powerful. We're talking about the ultimate daily home study checklist. We're basically going to take basic, everyday sentences and turn them into a totally empowering daily routine. Okay, let's dive into this and see how we can build your perfect study day from the absolute ground up. Think of this as our master checklist for the day. First, starting your study routine. Then, steps for reading and writing. Third, navigating your online classes. Fourth, essential habits and breaks. And finally, staying motivated with affirmations. All right, first up, starting your study routine. So this morning's sequence actually starts the very second you wake up. First, you open your eyes and say, "Good morning." Then, you stretch out and declare, "I am ready for a new day." Finally, you walk right over to your dedicated study table and tell yourself, "I will study today." I really want you to actively repeat these phrases as you do them. Speaking them aloud isn't just, pronunciation practice. It actually neurologically transitions your brain from sleep mode straight into focused learning mode. Then, once you're sitting at your desk, there's this one simple, powerful declaration to officially kick off the session. You say, "It is study time." I know, it sounds super basic, right? But declaring it is study time acts like a physical mental switch. It signals your brain that it's time to gently push those distractions aside and focus right here, right now.
Let's move to step 2 and see how this builds into your reading and writing.
Okay, so here is your step-by-step game plan for whenever you hit vocabulary you just don't know. First, you see a new word. Second, you consciously say out loud, "I want to learn this word." Third, you physically write that word in your notebook, saying, "I am writing." And fourth, you read the word again, telling yourself, "I am reading carefully." Writing it down physically helps lock it into your memory, and slowing down to deliberately read it ensures your pronunciation is clear. It's this brilliant continuous loop for absorbing new info. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate meta tool for your checklist, the dictionary. Because while you're studying at home, you are inevitably going to hit roadblocks. It happens to all of us. The dictionary is the tool that unlocks that understanding. By actually using it, you take a moment of total confusion and turn it into a moment of victory, so you can confidently say, with real genuine satisfaction, "Now I understand." And honestly, understanding is the whole point of this entire exercise. A massive part of this reading and writing phase is just building vocal confidence with foundational sentences. Stuff like, "My name is John. I am a student. I live in a house. I like learning English." I highly encourage you to practice reading these specific examples out loud. Speaking simple sentences like these is exactly what bridges the gap between just knowing a language in your head and actually confidently using it out in the real world. Let's keep moving. Section 3, navigating your online classes. Look, we've all zoned out before a virtual class even starts, right? So here's the sequence for keeping things smooth. First, turn on your computer and state, "I am using my computer." Next, log in and join the lesson, saying, "I am attending class." And finally, give the teacher your undivided attention, reminding yourself, "I am listening carefully." Narrating these technical steps actually forces you to stay present. Now, what's really interesting here is isolating specific, recurring instructions. Think about a phrase like, "Please open your book." When you're taking an online class, you're going to hear certain commands over and over again. Recognizing them instantly builds your focus and makes sure you can keep up with the pace of the virtual classroom. In fact, let's rapidly fire off a few more of these common teacher commands from our source material. Please read this page. Please write the answer. Please listen carefully. Please repeat after me. If you practice recognizing and responding to these phrases at home, making it part of your daily checklist, attending your actual class is going to feel incredibly easy and natural. You'll be ready for literally whatever the teacher throws at you. Okay, section 4, essential habits and breaks. So the source maps out an amazing water break process, and it needs to be a core habit on your checklist. Because let's face it, your brain isn't a machine. When the studying gets tough and you feel tired, you say, "I need a short break." You step away, you drink some water, literally saying, "I am drinking water." Then, after a few minutes, you come back to your desk and say, "I'm ready to continue." Look, taking short, deliberate breaks is absolutely not a distraction. It's a super healthy habit that resets your brain and actually helps you focus so much better. Here's another fantastic habit to weave into your day: talking to yourself. Simply look around your room and describe what's right there. This is my table. This is my chair. This is my book. By doing this, you instantly turn your everyday, normal environment into a dynamic study opportunity. It's just a completely effortless way to constantly build up your vocabulary throughout the day. And then you get to the best feeling of all. At the end of your active study block, you get to look at your work, let out a huge sigh of relief, and proudly say, "My homework is done." Delivering this phrase with a real tone of accomplishment marks the successful finish line of the active work on your checklist. It gives you that perfect sense of closure. Which brings us to our final section, staying motivated with affirmations. Let's start with this core statement. I can learn English. You've got to say it with energy. Say it with real conviction. This incredibly simple, positive statement is designed specifically to build emotional momentum. When you declare this, you are literally programming your own brain for success. Now, inevitably, you are going to stumble. The crucial point here is understanding that making mistakes is completely 100% normal. In fact, it's mandatory if you actually want to learn. So when you do make a mistake, don't just shut down. You pull out this mental tool and say, "I will try again." This phrase is basically your personal shield against frustration. Because the truth is, as the source beautifully frames it, I am improving every day. Learning is exactly like climbing a massive staircase. You don't just teleport to the top floor. One step at a time, one phrase at a time, one day at a time, that is what gets you to the top. It's really helpful to compare these two reactions. When you hit a wall, you react by declaring, "I will try again." But to keep your overall momentum going, you stay positive and declare, "I can improve." Both of these are essential, totally equal parts of your daily routine checklist. You need the grit to try again and the deep optimism to know you can improve. Before we wrap this up entirely, let's quickly review these foundational present tense phrases. Think of this as the summary of your checklist. I am studying at home. I am reading a book. I am writing notes. I am learning English. They're simple, they're memorable, and you can act on them today. Remember, practice is what makes learning easier. The more you run through this checklist, the stronger your whole foundation becomes. Well, that brings us to the end of our explainer today, but I want to leave you with a direct, super important question straight from the source material. Which sentence is your favorite to practice today? Seriously, don't just listen to this and move on. Apply it right now. Pick your absolute favorite phrase, start building your own ultimate home study checklist, and take that very next step up the staircase. Keep studying, keep practicing, and I will see you in the next explainer. Happy learning, everyone!